all night.
Gotta watch the hails.
It's showtime!
Ain't no clerk, ain't no show.
But I am the clerk.
Oh, you put in your resume for the clerk position?
Oh shit.
Maybe I did, maybe I didn't.
What?
I just have a quick question. Why would he tell the news station we got to put in a job announcement in the paper? But
Ad in the paper?
I mean, it's already front page in the paper in Chiefland. Why didn't he do it already? A week already. Ain't no clerk, ain't no show. You lost three clerks.
It's been almost.
3 clerks.
Really? That's 3 clerks?
Yeah.
And it's still not
I've
done.
seen it.
Still not
Ain't
done.
no clerk, ain't no show.
That's right.
That's what I heard.
If she goes, if you want the clerk of Otter Creek, I'll give you $1 million.
Sunday, everyone. Welcome to our weekly live stream where
Hold
we
a second.
hang out with you live.
George, if you're putting in your resume, you may need this. That first one's free on me, okay?
Oh,
First one's on me.
okay. I'll make sure I keep this in my wallet.
You'll need that. You know what? I like you. So just in case, here you go. 2 of them on the house.
Okay.
On the house.
I think I look good in that outfit.
I'll tell you what.
Week
trust
2,
me and
figure out the
Tom
hell we
Hall,
have.
I ain't calling
So
nobody.
can we see? It's time. No. Give me at least a month, guys. I need to clean up the
live
mess.
chat. If you're joining us this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Jeremy usually likes to start the live off with a song. And by song, I mean he's got a good one tonight.
No, I
A
don't.
good one.
What do you want me to sing about?
Well, we're going to give everyone the update of the corrupt town. So I think they want to hear about that.
About the corrupt town? Let me think. We got a corrupt mayor. We got a corrupt town clerk. We did have. We've got corrupt maintenance man. Won't lose job either. We've got a turtle. We got a turtle. It's hard to
Thank
call
you,
it a
Adam
lady.
P, for the
We got
$2.
a septic man. Let me see what I can come up with. Let me throw that all in. Jumble it up.
Okay.
All right. Let me see what I got. The mayor lied to the news.
Nope.
Well, I mean, that's a good start, right?
It was so evident.
Yeah.
All right, we are back, and you can see more is getting done. So I'm at the point where I'm about to clip the rest of this thing together.
You could go to Grainger.com to find what you need to get the job done. Grainger, supplies and solutions for every industry. No flip, no cap, no mess. Just grab and squeeze. Try Dawn Easy Squeeze. The day is May 27, 2022, and what was once a marquee event on the NASCAR Cup Series schedule has been on the backslide for the last few years, and tonight the wheels completely fall off. The race was mostly uneventful, but when it was all said and done with, no one could even tell when or where it ended or who the winner was. It was an embarrassment to the sport of stock car racing, and it was the worst NASCAR All-Star race of all time. In the early days of sports, bad events weren't just commonplace, they were the norm. The first season of NFL football ended with tons of games without any touchdowns scored by either team, and more than a few 0-0 ties. NBA basketball in its infancy featured a whole lot of guys standing around statically and making rigidly slow passes to one another before inevitably missing a shot, resulting in very low scoring games and no flashiness whatsoever. And even NASCAR had its fair share of problems in its first decade of life. Sure, races on the big speedways of Darlington and Daytona rightfully became crown jewel events, but the rank-and-file races on far-flung small dirt tracks make you genuinely wonder why this sport ever took off in the first place. There usually weren't a whole lot of lead changes, the margin of victory was measured in laps, and the average speed at most of these races was often in the 50-mile-an-hour bracket. People going to these races drove faster than that on the car ride home. That's not just bad, that's stupid. Why would you pay money to watch this? But people came out by the tens of thousands to watch these races, and eventually the racing got better. Shit shows back then were expected, but today they're not just rare, they're almost impossible to pull off. The drivers you see out there on the track and the players you see out there on the field are all professionals now. They don't do anything except play that one sport. These events are no longer made of factory workers and plumbers who play on the weekends for funsies. Plus, the vast majority of guys participating have been training their entire lives for this. It would take most of them completely forgetting their God-given talents for a few hours straight to make an event fall apart. Even the worst driver you can think of in the top division is in the top percentile of people who drive for a living. That person is an apex human being capable of doing things you and I could only dream of. Sure, they might stumble into the occasional blunder, but it's usually nothing more serious than one big oopsie. Not just that, but these sanctioning bodies have been holding these games for decades, if not a century. It's pretty much automatic now. So to get a shit show in today's modern age, you need some sort of outside help. Mother Nature is always there to lend her services. Just this year, the Daytona Summer Race had a race marred to hell and back with rain delays, as well as most of the field being wiped out in turn 1 due to a sudden shower located entirely in that one particular corner of the track and nowhere else. Arguably the worst F1 race of all time, the 2021 Belgian Grand Prix was stuck in a monsoon, and race directors ran 2 laps in their safety car before calling the race and telling everyone to pack up their stuff and go home. The other worst F1 race, the 2005 US Grand Prix, was plagued with a tire war between Bridgestone and Michelin that unraveled into just 6 cars starting the race due to a walkout by Michelin teams. And going back to NASCAR, the worst Cup race ever in 1969 at Talladega was also drop-kicked by a tire war, and all but 3 drivers walked out and replacements were brought in at the last second. Yeah, something outside of anyone's control usually ends up spelling disaster in these scenarios, but every once in a blue moon, you get just enough people not paying attention, a few people zigging when they should have zagged, and the right people in the right places throwing their brain into a blender, so you get the perfect, unassisted shit show. So what better place for this nightmare scenario to occur than a sacrilegious fake race that we made up for money? Fantastic. The NASCAR All-Star Race began its life in 1985, and the concept was pretty simple. Take all the winners from the past year and so far this year, as well as past champions, and have them race against each other in an invitational short-length event for a big cash prize. By this time, every sport had an all-star game, and NASCAR was soaring in popularity, so it only made sense. The man who proposed the idea and eventually won exclusive rights to holding this event was Bruton Smith, the CEO of Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, which owned the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And that was where they held the very first All-Star race. After a thrilling finish in which Darrell Waltrip ran down Harry Gant, completed a late race pass,
that's why I watched it screwed up
to skate it through post-race inspection, fans were hooked. And the race would go on to give us some of the most memorable and replayed moments in NASCAR history. 1987, pass in the grass. 1989, Darrell Waltrip and Rusty Wallace's feud that ended with Darrell telling Rusty, "I hope he chokes on that prize money." One hot night in 1992 where Davey Allison wrecks himself for the win. 1994, Ernie Irvan doing the exact same thing but coming up just short. 1995, Jeff Gordon sneaking his first All-Star race win after Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt wreck each other coming out of turn 4. 1997, the infamous T-Rex car that absolutely dominated the race. 1998, Mark Martin passing Jeff Gordon after he runs out of gas on the last lap. 2001, the backup car race. 2007, the Busch Brothers feud. 2010, teammates Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin wrecking coming out of turn 2. 2014, Jamie McMurray's bonsai move on the outside to win over Carl Edwards. And that's just most of the memorable events. This was beyond a shadow of a doubt a crown
this year, I watched part of it.
If you won this race, then you were somebody. You were a big shot. But you might notice in those clips that we didn't just have the All-Star race at Charlotte once. We had it there just about every single year. But that wasn't the plan initially. Originally, it was supposed to be a rotating race, but after the 1986 race in Atlanta had less than stellar turnout, it was brought back to Charlotte, which made tons of sense. The All-Star race is held the week before the World 600, the longest race of the year, also at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Plus, most of the teams are based out of the Charlotte area, so it's kind of like an off week for them before heading into the 600. This also meant that fans could camp out for the whole week and catch 2 events. But midway through the 2010s, the All-Star race has lost a lot of its luster. Part of what made this race so
Yesterday
cool
it wasn't All-Star yesterday.
the race was broken down
Which
into
was-
segments, and the winner of each segment would get extra cash prizes.
Ah.
In some years, winning a segment would guarantee you a starting position up front in the final segment for the $1 million prize at the end. While in
I
some
hate
years,
segments.
It might have you starting at the rear of the field when they invert the running order. They did a lot of other things to spice up the racing too, encouraging alternate paint schemes, double file restarts, guaranteeing a green flag finish, having a high drag, low horsepower package for the cars, etc. But wait, that just sounds like a race from today. We have segmented races with stage cautions, double file restarts, green white checker finishes, the cars have less horsepower and huge spoilers, and the guys drive differently painted cars every week now. Yeah, NASCAR kind of used the All-Star race as a test lab for things they plan to roll out in the future, which isn't a bad idea. But when you take nearly everything that made the All-Star race special and implement that into every regular race, then the All-Star race just isn't special anymore. It's just another race with no championship implications. And the $1 million prize isn't as enticing as it used to be. These guys get paid millions of dollars already. What exactly is the point of this anymore? However, we got the big shakeup we needed in 2020 because of the same reason that everything else got shooken up in 2020, COVID. After a shutdown of sporting events that lasted several weeks, NASCAR actually pulled off a miracle in logistics and scheduling. They still ran 36 races that year and got their TV partners the big events they signed up for. They ran 3 races at some tracks, did midweek racing, double headers, and moved a lot of stuff around, but they did get it done. And one of those changes was moving the All-Star race from Charlotte to Bristol, another track SMI owned. Bristol is a high-banked short track with its own crazy history of amazing racing, so it seemed like a match made in heaven. How could we possibly screw it up? Well, NASCAR debuted a number placement which looked kinda weird, and underglow lights that looked kinda weird. The race was okay, Chase Elliott, the most popular driver, won, but it was pretty forgettable. So instead of fiddling with the format of the race, SMI decided to move the event to another venue of theirs, Texas Motor Speedway. Texas is... how do I put this? Texas is not the most popular track on the schedule. As a matter of fact, it's on most people's shit list, and it's been that way since day one for that track.
Texas was okay when it first came out.
It wiggled its way onto the schedule in 1997 because one of NASCAR's founding tracks, North Wilkesboro Speedway, was kicked out and left to rot out in North Carolina.
It came back!
Not just that, but they had to reconfigure the track after the first testing sessions were done. Pit road was too narrow, the transitions coming out of the corners were too abrupt, and it was the same old quad oval design we had seen before. 24-degree banks in the same shape as Charlotte, and Atlanta too was being reconfigured into that design. It offered nothing new. It was just a worse version of tracks that already existed. Its inaugural race came around and there was a massive pile-up on the first lap. They spent millions on reconfiguring the track.
I'm gonna watch that race then.
Between turns 1 and 2, and then for the next race in 1998, there was a massive pile-up again. This time on the second.
1997.
And they spent millions
okay, I'm
more
gonna watch
to
that.
reconfigure the track again. That last fix actually worked though, and Texas was blessed with having just okay racing and not gigantic wreck fests. At least it worked until 2017 where they dialed back the banking in turns 1 and 2 to make the track asymmetrical.
So
But
97.
that just made the racing worse, not just for NASCAR but also IndyCar.
NASCAR, Texas,
They kept DJ1
1997.
adhesive to the upper grooves of the track to encourage more side-by-side racing.
Well, we do know that we went back to yesterday is when they went back to the North Wilkesboro Speed Race. Oh. Texas, 1997. NASCAR, Texas Speedway, 1997. The first year. Okay. You see how this works out. I hope I think this is Texas. I want to see because this is 97. The cars still look awesome. In 2009, when the Car Tomorrow came out, the cars looked like shit. Come on, guys. I'm actually a person from 2001. I started watching NASCAR in 2001. Interstate Batteries 500.
Texas Motor Speedway, opening day. Interstate Batteries 500. 150,000 seats sold. 194 suites filled. 43 competitors ready to battle for $3.8 million. On this
Well, Texas didn't fill it in that well, did it?
$1 million racing facility. It is some kind of day for Winston Cup racing. Outside, the scene here in Texas, a new experience for these folks, is the same that you see at any Winston Cup race. Almost. Yeah, there's a few things different. But generally, there's the excitement, there's the electricity, as the big cars and the big stars get ready to go for it. 500 miles of racing today into the unknown on a new super speedway, and a great one.
Yeah.
Let's meet two of the principals, the Corpus Christi Comets themselves, the Labonte brothers. Here with Mike Joy. Ken, the Labonte brothers and Bobby Hiller are the Texas natives in this
Mike Joy with the Fox, and he's still on TV.
The last time Winston Cup racing came to the Lone Star State, Terry Labonte sat on the pole. And today, after a run in the 300-miler yesterday, what do you expect this afternoon?
I'll tell you what, it's going to be a tough race, no question about it. Our fellow Chevy ran pretty good in the last practice, so I don't know. I think we feel pretty good about it, but it's going to be a tough one.
Will it take a lot of give and take today to be there at the end, Terry?
Oh, I think so. It's awful hard to pass. Yeah, you're going to have to be pretty cautious, I think.
Okay, good luck. Now, right alongside in this second row is younger brother Bobby Labonte. And with a window net up, we'll be snaking arm in here. And Bobby, how about it? After yesterday's run here, what do you think about this afternoon?
Well, I think the Interstate Pontiac was running real good in practice yesterday and qualified fourth. Imagine that. So we're looking forward to today's race. We got lots to look forward to. The Interstate sponsoring the race at yesterday's Shell Pontiac. We ran good for a while and had a little trouble and didn't finish like we wanted to, but learned a lot about the racetrack.
Labonte's hope to keep some of Reuben Smith's money here in Texas today. Let's go back to Dick Bergeron.
Dale Jarrett is the
Wow.
hottest driver in this series.
He retired.
This year. He has
Dick's been retired for a few years now.
He has won 2 races. He is on top of the points, and today he starts from the pole. But this racetrack, although it's brand new, it is like no other. It has a reputation. It has an attitude. How do you tackle this place today, Dale?
You're going to have to be careful. There's only a very few places that you can even attempt to pass. You don't want to get out of the groove very little, and it's just a difficult place. Demands all the respect of a place that we raced for a lot of years like Darlington, and you're going to have to show this place that same respect.
He's got a good car to run this race with. He has won the last 2 races in a row. Terrell Shaheen.
Dick, you know, when it comes to getting acclimated to a new racetrack, not a problem for Rusty Wallace. He won the first ever race in New Hampshire National Speedway in '93, and you won the first race into the...
Really, New Hampshire's not been running long? I thought New Hampshire was quite... Wait, is that Ken Swiler? Is that... Wait, is that the guy? Are those the same guys that have been doing it since the
An
70s?
inaugural event. That's the one you always remember. That very special first time, like when Johnny Mance won at Darlington, or Lee Petty at Daytona, or Jeff Gordon at Indianapolis, the Brickyard 400. But today, it's a battle into the unknown once again for these great stars.
Certainly a lot of unknowns. They don't
Ned
have
Jarrett.
big, thick boots.
Yeah, these guys, oh wow, Ned Jarrett. Which Ned Jarrett still is alive and well, still does work,
The
but...
Busch Grand National race here, so that would have to be Mark Martin. Mark did a lot of tire testing here for Goodyear, and yesterday took the lead late, passing Jimmy Spencer to go on to win the Busch Grand National race here. So that would be an experience for him. So going into this race, Ken, Mark Martin would have to be among the favorites.
He's been battling my whole life.
That anyone has won back-to-back Saturday to Sunday has been this man, Mark Martin. Can he do it again today? He won yesterday. Now, as to the track itself, let's take a look at it. Turn 3 and 4 area. Here's Buddy Baker.
Ooh, Buddy Baker.
The drivers found out one thing at Texas
Still-
Speedway yesterday. You have to have give and take. Steve Hart in the...
Buddy Baker. Wait, come on, half these people they're talking about are still race car drivers. Nah, we're not going to watch Texas.
Blue number 3 found out the hard way. You can't get too anxious on a give and take racetrack.
Man, we're going to watch something else. We're going to watch,
weight gain, potentially fatal high blood sugar, uncontrolled body movements, which may be permanent.
YouTube.
Dizziness upon
I
standing.
mean, come on, guys. I'm into different stuff, but I just don't know what to watch because I'm making videos for you guys to watch.